But Liz May is always my favorite. This is from our friend Kat Canada, who clipped it. She's remarking on Poilievre, saying, yeah, I don't think the RCMP have been doing their job, letting the Liberals away with this intense level of corruption unscathed, including refusing to turn over documents and proroguing Parliament so that they don't have to turn over evidence of their corruption. Imagine, say you're being investigated for corruption. Let's just say you're a criminal. And the police say you should turn over those documents, and you're like, you know what? No. And then everyone's like, okay, fine. I guess that's how it goes. That's what the Liberals have been doing for 10 years. Like, no normal person could pull this stuff. And even pointing it out has driven Liz May crazier. And I also want to point out that if the Liberals did this sort of stuff in the United States, everybody would be in jail for a very long time. But it's Canada.
Say it again. In the United States, if you pulled this baloney, you would be in jail.
Yeah, they'd take conflict of interests and using your position in power to personally enrich yourself or your friends, and being uncooperative with federal investigations very seriously. Very seriously. It, like, even just being uncooperative will land you in jail. You know, like lying to the cops, that'll land you in jail for almost as long. You know, like lying to Congress will get you in jail almost as long as the crime itself. But in Canada, we're like, you know what? $300 fine, and we'll just label this Trudeau ethics violation, Roman numeral 11. And like, it's... Anyways, let's listen to Liz May. She's so offended on behalf of the police.
Elizabeth May, Green Party of Canada.
We know.
I don't know about the rest of you, but I felt compelled to speak out at Pierre Poilievre's latest, outburst that seems to have come from the pages of Project 2025. It certainly didn't come from the criminal code, with the notion that former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau should be in jail if not for the quote-unquote despicable leadership of the RCMP. First of all, I did go to law school. Pierre Poilievre didn't. People think there are too many lawyers in politics. This episode makes it really clear, as far as I'm concerned, not enough lawyers in politics. You have to know something about the law before you spout off that a former prime minister should be in jail. Why? Was there a criminal code offense that the RCMP covered up? No. The report of the late Mary Dawson, the Ethics Commissioner for Canada, she reported in 2017 that she believed Justin Trudeau had broken the ethics code by accepting the Christmas vacation the year before on the Aga Khan's private island. I'll be honest with you, I never bought it at the time. I didn't want to be going in front of the microphones to defend Justin Trudeau's vacation, but it was entirely subjective. And I wondered how it was that the Ethics Commissioner decided that the Aga Khan was not a family friend. Now, the details are clear. Pierre Trudeau and the Aga Khan were friends. Justin Trudeau knew the Aga Khan since his earliest childhood. If not for Mary Dawson's subjective finding that the Aga Khan did not meet the definition of family friend, there was no offense here. Now, there's misuse potentially of using the planes, but even if every element of the ethics code was proven, which I don't believe it was, even if every element had been proven at that time, this was not a criminal code offense. So where is Pierre Poilievre's notion that the former prime minister should be jailed? It's deeply worrying because this is the kind of thing going on right now in Trump's United States. Political enemies can become then persecuted through law enforcement, and you end up having former colleagues, friends, associates of Donald Trump. Once they're no longer friends, they should be in jail. I don't like that kind of language in Canadian politics. I don't like it coming from anyone. But I do think for the Canadian public, it needs to be clear when somebody is evading the law and when they're not. So again, in the instance of the SNC-Lavalin affair and the improper pressure brought on our former and quite noble former Minister of Justice and Attorney General, the Honourable Jody Wilson-Raybould, I still think that the RCMP should have pursued its investigation into what really took place there. But we actually don't know whether
Liz!
Justin Trudeau applied the pressure or not. We only know that the former clerk of the Privy Council office, Michael Warnick, did. So these things, again, is there a criminal code offense here? Even if all the elements were proven, should someone be in jail? And what does it advance Canadian society to refer to the RCMP leadership as, quote unquote, despicable? So I think Pierre Poilievre should reconsider his language, withdraw those words, and apologize.
What if those who were once called conspiracy theorists turned out to be right again? A new study by Korean doctors claimed that COVID vaccines raise the risk of 6 cancers, including lung, breast, and prostate. Researchers analyzed health records for more than 8.4 million adults between 2021 and 2023, and their findings were published in Biomarker Research, a respected scientific journal. Critics dismissed it, but the data raises concern that spike protein exposure may be tied to long-term health risks. Dr. Peter McCullough has been aware of this since 2020, which is why he collaborated with the wellness company to create Ultimate Spike Detox, designed to help your body clear spike proteins, reduce inflammation, and support heart health. With natural ingredients like nattokinase, dandelion root, and bromelain, it is your daily proactive defense for a man-made virus. Don't wait until symptoms strike or something unexpected happens. Experience the only formula approved and used by Dr. McCullough, one of the top doctors who risked it all. Head to twc.health/rebel, use code REBEL to get 10% off free shipping. Again, that's twc.health/rebel and use code REBEL to get 10% off. Get back to that pre-COVID feeling.
Oh, Elizabeth May. Okay, so she's holding these two thoughts at the same time. Justin Trudeau was never charged criminally, therefore he couldn't have done anything criminal. And also, the RCMP didn't investigate, and that has nothing to do with him not being charged criminally. Like, she's like a mental frying pan with 2 peas rolling around in the frying pan, and never the 2 peas shall meet.
Those are her brain cells.
Those things, it just never ever occurs to her that what she's saying is, right, the RCMP and our intelligence services are responding to the demands of the political classes. This is what we're saying. Politics should never, ever, ever drive enforcement of the law or investigation of wrongdoing by the politicians. And yet that's exactly what we have here. Oh, Elizabeth May, have another, espresso martini. Why don't you?
Oh. Just chugging off the NyQuil. And again,
NyQuil martini.
She's having a NyQuil martini. That's how she explained away her performance at the National Press Dinner or whatever, where she played Welcome Back Kotter on her BlackBerry into the microphone
to honor dragged off the stage Kotter. By a friend. Yeah.
It wasn't a friend. It was more of a frenemy, but it was even the embarrassment was just too much. And then she said, well, I had a long flight and I was on the NyQuil. I've done some NyQuil. I've felt some unpleasant illness before. I've even had some long flights and not slept in 30 hours, doing stories like flying to the UK, being on the ground for 6 hours, flying right back. I've never decided I needed to celebrate a war criminal in public, but if that's what NyQuil does to her, she better stay off it. But just to point out, like she says, oh, that's what Trump's doing in the United States, turning the apparatus on his political enemies. No, that's what the Democrats did to Trump for 4 years. Right. That's what they did to him for 4 years. Right. And I'm not crazy when I say in a normal country, Justin Trudeau would be in jail for this because Democrat mayor, former mayor, Eric Adams, he was, federal prosecutors say that he engaged in a long-running, well, they call it a long-running conspiracy, but all he did was accept luxury travel and gifts from foreign business people and at least one Turkish government official. And so if it were in the United States, Justin Trudeau's gift of a vacation, particularly since the Aga Khan's Foundation was recipient of Canadian money, and the use of the planes would have resulted in criminal charges in a real.
Right. But here in Canada, you know, the only crime that seems to ever be investigated is blue collar crime, right? Like white collar crime, absolutely not. Lace collar, you know, these elites as they pull off some of the biggest grifts imaginable. You think they ever have a microscope put on them by law
Right.
enforcement?
Right.
Absolutely not.
And Liz May saying, you know, like the RCMP didn't investigate. Yeah, we know. Like that's the problem.
That's the whole point, Elizabeth
That's
May.
the whole point, is that especially with the Green Slush Fund, where there are ties linked back to liberal insiders, liberal appointees. Again, if this were the United States, you would be up on corruption charges and you would be serving 20 years. If you were appointed to a political agency, a government agency, and then you used that position at that government agency to enrich yourself and your business interests, you would be in the slammer. In Canada, you get to go before a committee and say, I left the room, and then they voted to give me money, and then I came back and I voted to give them money. And can't you see? It's all very arm's length, no harm, no foul.
And now that there's a spotlight put on us, what we've decided to do as a team is investigate ourselves.
No, they didn't even do that. They were just like, you know what? Everything's fine. Believe us. You don't need to see the records.
Right. So they investigated what they did. They found no wrongdoing, and they just continued on like normal, because there is nobody overseeing them. There is nobody keeping an eye on this, and there should be.
And it just
law enforcement organizations in Canada that seem to have lost their way.
Perhaps when we have a real government in charge, they make some serious changes to the ethics laws in this country, where they rise to the level of actual corruption, because that's what it is.
Right.
Instead of a $300 slap on the wrist and a promise to never do it again, and then you do it again. And then you do it again, and then you do it again. Like the Green Slush Fund stuff is just an absolute abomination. It's hilarious if it weren't so expensive for the Canadian taxpayer. And then, like, what do? The Liberals their friends get their hands caught in the cookie jar, and then the Liberals say, you know what we're going to go to work if you're going to make us turn over those documents.
Right. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah. All right.
Crazy.